thoughts, opinions, and general overall shade thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your hosts, Jason Beck and Rico Lamitte, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Yeah. Good morning, everybody. That's right. It is Wednesday, Hump Day, December 18th. And today is National Twin Day. It's also National Roast Suckling Pig Day.
Cool.
And Answer the Telephone Like Buddy the Elf Day.
Oh boy, that's cute.
Right?
Who the fuck made that day up?
I have no clue. I have no clue. Thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. You can look up above and down below to see exactly where we live on the internet. And we are live every Monday through Friday on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, X, Instagram, Facebook, and on our very own website at www.highat9news.com. So welcome to everyone joining us from any one of those platforms. And is Rico not here yet?
I don't see Rico.
Okay. All right. Well, that's amazing. We are going to roll right into attorney at law, Mr. Dale Schafer. He's the founder of Armada Law and at one point in time did some time for a cannabis crime. Here to show you how to defy gravity by pissing up a rope, it is none other than attorney himself, Mr. Dale Schafer.
Good morning, everybody, and for those of you on the East Coast freezing your ass off, or good early afternoon. My story this morning comes out of Marijuana Moment, and the headline is Teen Marijuana Use Continues to Drop as More States Legalize Federally Funded Study Shows Contradicting Opponents' Claims. Now, this is not a brand new statistic. I think the opponents like Kevin Sabet and Sam wanted desperately for these numbers to be going up, but they're just not. And this points out one of the things that we've been saying in the legalization community is that legalizing does not make this more available to kids. It doesn't bring the rates up. And these continuing statistics demonstrate that. Now, last week I talked about the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights just stating unequivocally that the drug war has failed. These statistics are further evidence that there are other ways to do this besides prohibiting the use of drugs. It's not going to change human nature no matter how hard we try. The use of cannabis, opioids, hallucinogenics. There's a list of other substances that have been used for thousands of years. They're not something that they just figured out yesterday. If you think that kids out there don't know about the availability of drugs and you're kidding yourself as a parent or a family member, at this point, the statistic I was able to find last night is roughly half of the population in the United States has tried an illicit substance. And about half the population has consumed alcohol. Now, these are lifetime use. How much of this overlaps, I don't know. But statistically, 75% or more of people who ever use drugs and alcohol do not go on to have a substance abuse disorder. So the scare tactics we've been hearing for years if we legalize drugs, it's going to be a free for all. It's just going to, all of our kids are going to be addicted. Everyone's going to be addicted. The statistics don't show that. Plus, if you look around the globe, places like Portugal, where they decided to treat drugs differently, there's a great deal of success in actually wrapping your arms around some of these addiction rates, or if addiction is not the word you like to use, these substance use disorder rates have fallen. And the number of people who have these intractable substance abuse problems are relatively small. And to continue to disrupt people's lives the way that mine was disrupted, and other people who have been sentenced to prison for having anything to do with substances, it's just not working anymore. Now, can we get some understanding and traction at a federal level? We've got a new administration coming in. And to be clear, they've been rather equivocal about what they want to do with substances, alcohol, and the primary drugs of abuse, which are the opioids, methamphetamine, cocaine. Those are the big ones we're concerned about. And will there be some movement with, say, Bobby Kennedy Jr. taking over Health and Human Services? Will he push to try and get some of this stuff treated differently? I don't know. I'm going to remain hopeful. We can have a better future than we had a past, because locking people up for using drugs has never worked. And it's the definition of insanity to keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. We're just not going to get there. And these statistics are proving that education is a better way to deal with this than it is trying to scare kids. Teenagers don't scare well. The ones who are scared are never going to be your drug problems. The ones who are risk takers, the ones that don't scare easily, they're the target we have to look at for younger generations. How do we deal with this? And since Reagan closed all the insane asylums back in the 60s here in California, we have not had the availability for effective mental health treatment. And drug abuse is a mental health issue. So there's a lot of things that need to be considered, but a lot of our homelessness crisis and our drug abuse crisis are centered in mental health problems. We have been negligent in dealing with mental health issues in this country. No one really likes to answer the question, why are so many people using these drugs of despair? We have such a great country here. Why are so many people trying to get out of the realities by using substances, especially substances of despair? There's a lot of discussions to be had here. And Omar, I'm looking forward to your take on this, because Lauren was a member of SSDP. I'm hoping that we can all wrap our arms around some realistic solutions here, stop treating people who use substances like they're pariahs, they're sinners and things like that. Understand that they're human beings and they're seeking relief from mental suffering, and locking them up does not fix this problem. I'm going to throw this back at you all. I could talk about this for weeks, but got a time schedule, so I'll throw it back to you for your comments and see what we can find out today.
Man, Dale, I mean, seems like cannabis is not necessarily that gateway drug that they've propped up as being since the 70s and 80s.
Alcohol is the gateway drug.
I was
just
just
no
about to say that. I think it's the ultimate drug of despair, and like people who. It's the default in corporate America. You go to all these corporate events and everybody's drinking alcohol and it's widely available, and intoxication is viewed as, the same as fun. And then people wonder why people do drugs. It's because alcohol is so unfulfilling. I think if our default drug of choice in modern America was cannabis, where people were getting high and getting uplifted instead of, and I'm not talking about getting like just, couch, turning into a couch potato, or what I call death baked. Mm-hmm. That's why we used to call it in law school. It's getting death baked. But I think it's a more elevated experience. And so a lot of it is set and setting in the context in which you use these substances. And if you're hiding around and you're not getting a pure supply because you have to get it from the somebody who's totally unregulated, and many times they're addicts themselves, and they're just trying to sell whatever they have on hand so they can get their next fix. And so it just really creates a dysfunctional system where people are not able to truly pursue the pursuit of happiness. And all of these people are seeking happiness. Let's keep that in mind. You know, even when it comes to, you know, the drug of despair users, it's because our society on-ramps them with alcohol to that despair lane.
Well, and we need to stop this whole cannabis is the gateway drug thing, because studies have shown for a long time, even before this large push for national legalization, that most people who use cannabis, especially, you know, as a teen and in college, end up stopping cannabis use as they go into the workforce and go on to have families and things. So it's, you know, I don't think that vilifying cannabis is working anymore, Kevin Sabet. I'm talking to you. And the more and more studies that we have that can stand behind that, I think hopefully people will open their eyes. You know, there are still people who are going to dig their heels in and say, well, yes, it is because I said so. And because my mama said it was bad, because Kevin Sabet said it's going to hurt my kids. So I think we just need to be aware and look at the actual numbers and look at what the research is showing. Cannabis is doing far more good for people than it is harm.
You know, the C word threw in a super chat, so thank you so much, the C word. He said, did any of you do drugs before you smoked weed?
Alcohol.
Alcohol
In copious quantities.
What about I mean, sugar's a drug. Sugar's the first drug that even kids are introduced to.
Breast milk.
Oh man, breast milk.
And the health consequences of sugar are that your ass gets big and you get diabetes. And right now they've got a whole market on let's make a new drug to help you lose weight, because you can't stop stuffing your face with sugar, because we taught you that sugar is something that we should love, and it gives you a dump of chemicals that makes you feel good, which is exactly why people smoke weed. I mean, I want to feel better. I mean, for me, it's Hershey's chocolate, for God's sakes. That's going to kill me at some point. But my old man taught me to like that. So here we are, I'm 70 years old, and I've got to walk away from sugar sometimes, being drug away, because I am really addicted to sugar. And it's going to kill me. No one wants to talk about it.
Your chocolate, my friend. Hershey's is not chocolate; it's sugar.
Hey, hold on. We have three major holidays that are all surrounded around sugar. You have Valentine's Day, you have Easter, and Halloween.
Oh, and Christmas. What about all these chocolate advent calendars?
I wouldn't necessarily. I think Christmas is more around giving gifts. I don't think it's more centered around chocolate giveaways.
Jason, what is the one Christmas item you bought? What is the one Christmas item other than the eggnog with alcohol in it that you bought when we went to Costco to shop for Thanksgiving?
What?
What did you buy? A box of what?
I don't know what you're talking about.
That big ass box of candy canes that you got on the way to checkout.
Those are weapons.
Yeah, those are things for giveaways and stuff like that, and
You
like
think
drink ornaments.
Oh, so you think so during the holidays we might give away things like candy?
You can stab
I'm hopeful that somebody in Congress will be paying attention to this. I think I talked earlier about Tillis is open to, who's the new majority leader of the Senate, is open to just stop all this nonsense about the Controlled Substance Act, take it clear out of there. And if you want to take some of the molecules from cannabis and make pharmaceuticals out of them, that's one thing. You can do that with alcohol too, but get it clear out of there. But an even bigger discussion is, how do we get society, the medical community, the mental health community to work together to identify those people who have intractable drug addiction? No matter what you do, we're not going to get them to stop. Can we, without taking away their personal freedoms, find a way to maintain them without sending them to the street to flat back or steal every piece of copper in your house? How can we consider that? Because up until now, that's been, it hurts my ears to hear that. Well, fuck your ears. I mean, I was in prison with a lot of guys who were there because they started with heroin or meth, and they ended up with out-of-control addiction. Yep. Okay, and that's where they were, and none of the things we were doing in prison was going to help that. It was up to them to stop that, and if they find that they can't, and this is something I touched upon last week, until 1914, a doctor was allowed to maintain an addict.
Yep.
You came in, got your medicine, you went to work, and it was cool. The Webb decision knocked that out, and doctors are a bunch of pusillanimous pieces of shit. They don't want to do anything that the government says, we don't want you doing it. Well, perhaps we need something now, an initiative somewhere, to try and identify and maintain people who are the most intractable of our addiction community. Okay. And can we consider that? And then beyond that, let's get rid of this is a sin, because that's what got us in trouble in the first goddamn place. This is not sinful conduct. It's been going on for thousands of years before all these books were written. It's human conduct. Can we consider it human conduct and not treat people like they're bad because they use some substance to make themselves feel better?
Fair enough. Steve Blessingham says in the chat, he says, sees candy as crack, you guys.
Oh, man.
Not just he sees candy as crack, but sees candy is crack.
He sees candy, I see crack.
What do you think about this, Rico? This candy is a sugar phenomenon.
I'm anti-sugar.
You're anti-sugar? But you love to sip the Kool-Aid, Rico. And you can't have good Kool-Aid without sugar.
I think that's a racist comment. I don't fuck with Kool-Aid, and I don't fuck with no sugar water. I do love Oreos. See, I'm all about putting black and white together. Come on, Jason.
Oh boy.
That's unity. Let's talk unity. How about that, Jason? Unity party.
We got
aliens over. We got aliens hovering over New Jersey. Why don't we talk about that?
Stop it, bro. Drones were on sale on Black Friday. That's all that this was. Is just a whole bunch of Black Friday sales that people are taking advantage of out there. You know what I'm saying? Getting some rest and relaxation, exploring their neighborhood.
That's funny, Jason, because even Donald Trump said that the U.S. government's been aware of UFOs and extraterrestrials for a long time. So, do you trust Trump or no?
I trust Trump 100%. All day, every day.
I'm so much looking forward to the inauguration because,
me too.
All the conspiracy theories, man, these are all just gonna be fleshed out from now on. So, I'm just sitting back and eating popcorn, just watching this shit happen.
Yeah, I just got my tickets.
It's gonna be a disclosure event.
What's that, Omar?
Pelosi, I think the inauguration is going to be a disclosure event. Nancy Pelosi is going to morph into a saurian reptile. And there's going to be all-out feeding frenzy on the floor.
I like that you said that. I like that you said that, Omar. That's fantastic.
I just wonder if Donald Trump is going to keep Peter Thiel in close range when he's outed as a reptilian too. I don't know.
We almost got
the veins popping out of Peter Thiel's head when he was interviewed recently.
Yeah, we need to say we need to start talking about real gateway drugs, the gateways to different dimensions. How about that?
Almost stayed on topic.
Speaking of gateways, we're going to roll into our first commercial and we're going to be right back. I just ordered the summertime strawberry salad with added steak on top here at Anna's. Make sure you do the same thing too next time you're in downtown Long Beach. Come on down and check out Anna's joint on the 400 block of Pine Street. They have amazing selection of beers, foods, and when you come down here to Anna's, you can even challenge me to a game of shuffleboard if you want to lose. Did you get that? So, next time you're in downtown Long Beach on Pine Avenue, make sure you stop by Anna's Joint on the 400 block. Not only do they have Anna's Joint, this restaurant and bar, but they also have the amazing deli next door, and then next door to that, they have a very exotic flower shop. You may want to stop by and say hi. Oh, and we are back, you guys.
Yeah.
Who we got next, Jason?
All right, we're going to roll right into Rico, who was a little late today, but still decided to make it, and he is auditioning as the black version of Tim Pool today. That's right, it is none other than the dope dad himself, Mr. Rico Lamitte.
Who is Tim Pool? Who's Tim Pool, Jason?
I'll send you a video. You'll see what I'm talking about.
I'm pretty sure if he's a white man, I'm not auditioning to be him. Either way, on to my story. My story today. Good to be back, y'all. Appreciate y'all being patient with my sickness. I got the ick this weekend, and
you sound a little icky, bro. I can hear it.
I feel like straight dog shit. But you know what? I missed the love from you guys, and I'm back like I left something. So let's do this. My story today is from CBS News Colorado's Ana Alejo about a new campaign in the state aiming to raise awareness about the dangers of high-potency THC cannabis. It's called the T on THC. Launched by Colorado School of Public Health in collaboration with Initium Health, the campaign's prohibitionist messaging takes a scaled-down approach scaled-down page out of the highly successful Harris Walls presidential-run playbook, leaning on big-name local celebrities to target the youth, young adults, parents, mentors, and pregnant women, emphasizing the mental and physical health risks associated with high THC products. Led by former Denver Broncos star receiver Brandon Lloyd, who shared his own struggles with dependency and mood changes due to cannabis use, urging others to seek healthier coping methods. Laura Stack, who founded the nonprofit Johnny's Ambassadors after her son Johnny died by suicide following cannabis-induced psychosis, also plays a prominent role. The article says that Johnny's story highlights the severe effects of high THC cannabis on mental health, particularly in developing brains. You might ask yourself, this is Colorado, one of the first states to legalize. Where's all this prohibitionist talk coming from now? Well, the campaign stems from legislation HB 211317 passed in 2021, which required, during the pandemic, y'all, passing laws we didn't even know about, which required research on high THC cannabis and the development of public educational efforts to deter use. While the state's Cannabis Industries Association, the Marijuana Industry Group, says that they support and will continue to support educational efforts, they advocate focusing on cannabis use prevention for all youth and stress the importance of parents securing legal marijuana products at home. Big ups to them for saying that. At Tuesday's launch, Colorado researchers express hope that the initiative will lead national efforts to educate the public on the risks of high THC cannabis and promote lower potency products in the market. Good luck. Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street for High 9 News. What do you guys think about this campaign? Will it be successful?
Well, since it's in Colorado, it probably will be. They have plenty of prohibitionists out there.
Well, I mean, yes and no, right? Like,
Go for it, Jenny.
Yes and no. I think that there's definitely plenty of prohibitionists out there, especially if you're looking at the areas like Colorado Springs, which is the Bible Belt of the Midwest or the West Coast, whatever you want to consider Colorado. I just think that this is a fool's errand. Like, this is so stupid to me. I think, one thing when we're looking at potency is you guys are lying about a lot of shit, because I could draw you a picture right now that would scientifically explain to you why 37 to 40% THC is not fucking possible in flower. But we'll save that for another day when I have my chalkboard up and I'm feeling more Dr. Markish. But, I don't think that limiting THC quantity in products is necessarily the way to go, right? In Colorado, for medicinal products, you could buy things that were 1,000 milligrams. That was super helpful, because look at who moved to Colorado, the people with sick children, cancer patients, people from Texas who really needed this as medicine. So I think that this is kind of a fool's errand and also way too late.
Right. You think?
And I think the messaging is going to be ineffective. If they compared it to alcohol and said, we don't drink grain alcohol, if nobody drinks grain alcohol, that's insane. And you shouldn't choose your cannabis based on potency alone. That's like drinking grain alcohol. That might be maybe more successful, but it's still a fool's errand.
Here's my thing is, like, how can they say that they want to ban high THC percentages when that would take the high out of cannabis, and then at that point you just be smoking hemp? Just all be just THCA at the end of the day.
Please. Well, the problem I have is you go find someone who struggled with dependency on cannabis and ask them how they should fix the problem. You get the Nancy Reagan response: just say no. We need to take a look at people who don't use it, who do use it, educators, police, medical professionals, and come up with a consensus of how to deal with this, rather than find some kid who, who's addicted like they're addicted to spanking their monkey. And now we're going to get policies because we've got someone who just can't put the pipe down. I don't think so. That's not going to work at all.
I wonder if some of these mids brands are behind this initiative. You know what I'm saying? Because then you have to buy more mids in order to get just as high, right?
You know, like from an athlete's or a former athlete, I should say, standpoint, I just love, the balance that I'm seeing in the universe these days. Brandon Lloyd is just becoming the anti-Ricky Williams here. Mm-hmm. He got kicked out of the league for popping positive a bunch of drug tests, and you know what? It's weed's fault. Mm-hmm. It's weed's fault that he got kicked out of the league, and you know what? He's all against it now. So there's a void to fill there, and he's filling that void. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they need all they're missing is Kevin Sabet. And you know what? They got the Avengers of Prohibition. Put them on there, man. People
always need a good scapegoat, and weed has always been a good scapegoat for these individuals to always blame something on. You know what I mean? It's kind of like the government. People always want to blame the government for everything too.
I would say weed is.
Where do they draw the line? See, that's when you're distilling alcohol. The first run is basically 150 proof. Mm-hmm. And that's where most alcohol is capped. Okay. Mm-hmm. You're going to make it stronger than that. It takes a lot of special efforts, but that's a line that you can reproduce. Where do you draw the line with cannabis? Because concentrates now are upwards of above 80%. Mm-hmm. Okay. But if you're going to use that to treat a condition, you want something that's as pure as you can get it. And I just haven't heard any reasonable explanation of where you're going to draw the line. And I think Jenny Beth's right. If someone's saying, I've got flour at 40%, you should walk away, maybe run away, because they're full of shit. Mm-hmm. That just doesn't happen.
120%. I want 120% THC.
I bet. That's called the infused pre-roll, Rico.
Oh, that's good.
All right, we're gonna keep this
overdose on it.
Yeah, we're gonna keep this train rolling. I have a very interesting story for you guys, man. Because you guys have all heard about the fact that they're eating the cats, right? Well, I got something for you guys, because 2 New York men die after fertilizing marijuana plants with bat poop, you guys. That's right. 2 New York men have died after contracting a rare fungal infection from the bat feces they used to fertilize their marijuana plants, you guys. The men, both of Rochester, were cultivating cannabis for personal use when their health started to deteriorate, according to a case published in the journal Open Forum Infectious Diseases. One of them, a 59-year-old man with a history of emphysema, as well as heavy tobacco and marijuana use, was hospitalized after suffering serious weight loss over the course of about 6 weeks. He also had a sore throat when he was admitted to Strong Memorial Hospital, which had been making it increasingly difficult to swallow. Doctors initially suspected carcinoma after scans showed a mass on his larynx, but a biopsy sample.
Larynx.
What's that?
Larynx, babe.
Larynx. Thank you, Jenny Beth.
No problem.
But a biopsy sample ultimately tested positive for a histoplasmosis infection. The other man, who was 64 years old, was meanwhile hospitalized for hypoosmolar hypermentia, a condition in which sodium levels in the blood are abnormally low. Difficulty eating and severe weight loss. He also had a long history of tobacco and marijuana use and previously underwent a bypass surgery to better facilitate blood flow to his legs. Doctors eventually determined he too was suffering from a histoplasmosis infection, a type of phenomenon caused by breathing in spores of Histoplasmosis capsulium. He told doctors there was a heavy bat infestation in his attic, which as a result was covered in bat feces or guano, he said. He decided to use the waste to fertilize his marijuana and then relayed his plan to the 59-year-old who purchased his own guano online. It is likely that during the fertilization process, the men breathed in harmful fungus spores released by the guano, leaving them both with pneumonia, you guys. The 59-year-old was treated with antifungal, but after 2 weeks, he continued to have extreme difficulty breathing, and he ultimately transitioned to comfort care and died. According to the report, his friend, meanwhile, was released from the hospital after treatment, but he returned a month later and died shortly thereafter. Well, it looks like they got poisonous bat poo out in the streets of New York, and I can't wait to see what y'all have to say about this.
I mean,
This is how it all begins. This is how it begins.
Poor protoplasm.
What's that, Dale?
In the medical field, we call it PPP, piss poor protoplasm.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at these guys, these two were on the edge of death anyway. Okay?
Yeah.
And if you get fungus in your lungs, that's one of the reasons that they test weed for biologicals like fungus, because a direct inoculation is not good for you. And I mean, this should not frighten anybody, because the average person is not going to have this reaction. It's kind of hysterical, but if you're getting bat shit out of your attic, you probably should call someone in to help you, especially if you're sick like that.
Couldn't we just call that batshit crazy, Dale?
Yeah.
That's a new strain. That's that new strain.
For a long time, we've used guano in cultivation. I think that there's a large part that we need to realize, especially if you're cultivating for your personal use, right? You guys, and you need to be careful. You need to wash your hands. You need to use gloves. You need to do things like this because, I mean, I don't know if they inhaled it or what actually happened, right? For all you know, this guy is spraying his crops down, putting this and mixing it into the soil, and then picks his freaking nose. Like, you don't know really what happened. I think when you're using things like this, like bat guano, seabird guano, those are all very normal things that are additives for soil when we're cultivating, right? Because they break down, they're very nutrient rich, and they're helpful. But anything, you just need to be careful. You need to err with caution when you're cultivating anything. You need to be careful. You're working with substances like, even if, you need to wear goggles or something stupid because you've got things staked with bamboo and you might have sprayed pesticides and you lean down and poke yourself in the freaking eye or something. There are so many things to be cautious of. Like, this is their bad.
You make a good point, Jenny Beth, because your eye is your biggest pore on your entire body.
And if your eyes are poor, you need to make more money.
Oh, God. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, but they could have been growing strawberries and gotten this bat guano, and they would have gotten the same goddamn infection. So it's hysterical because it was weed. If it's fungus in that fresh guano, it doesn't matter what you put. It could have put it on your front lawn or your flowers out front. You still would have gotten this infection.
Well, my impression was that this was an indoor cultivation. And so if you're doing indoor cultivation where the air ventilation is not ideal, like it would be outdoors, there's enhanced risk, and you probably ought to be using a mask, especially if you have underlying health conditions like these two poor patients. I really see it as medical marijuana patients are trying to save money by growing their own and end up with disastrous health consequences. So it's really a warning for everybody, and let us all learn from their mistake and, have compassion for these guys. Initially, I thought like, oh, these guys are a couple of idiots. But upon further reflection, they're patients seeking medical relief.
That's a fair point. They're just like, hey, you know what? I was looking at my nutrients and it says that bat guano is a nutrient in my fertilizer. And look, I have all this bat poo up here. I can just, I can make my own newts with this. And all of a sudden this guy thinks he's Walter White and made a bad batch.
Yeah.
That's also the problem with, there's like a lot of YouTube channels, right? You can go anywhere on YouTube and you can find somebody who's a cultivation expert who may not have cultivated anything in their freaking life, right? And so this is why we need to be careful of bad information, because if you're getting information or you're getting just a piece of the information, that can then become dangerous.
And John Kehoe in the chat, he says they were collecting it in the attic, and when you do this, you need a suit on with respirators, the same as they do in the mines, you guys. That's a really...
Yeah, but having honest discussions with your healthcare provider, I think, is where we could enhance the knowledge passing around of this. Molly and I used to have extensive, honest discussions with medical patients that once you get out of the cannabis informed community, most doctors don't have a clue what they're talking about when it comes to cannabis. And if you've got a sick patient and they're honest with you, hey, I'm using cannabis, you should then go on to have honest discussions with them about some of the risks, and including, risks like this. If you have emphysema, things like that, you probably should not be smoking. But medical community does not really have honest discussions with patients about their use of cannabis and their production of cannabis because they don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. Fair.
Hey, Jason.
Yes.
Jason, my question for you is if he's going to be, the low budget cannabis industry, Walter White, can we call him Eisen Turd?
Oh, God. You know what? On that, we're rolling into a commercial, and we are going to be right back, you guys.
Shut up.
The Control Tower from Highly Educated has perfected the dab. Utilizing the concept of thin film evaporation, you can waste none of it and taste all of it. The micro texture of the SE pillar increases nucleation at elevated temperatures. And with the tower propelling at 2,600 RPMs, it's certainly the most efficient dab experience to date. The Control Tower from Highly Educated. All right, stop whatever you're doing. Make sure that you hit that like button. I know we'll appreciate it. You'll appreciate it, and YouTube will appreciate it. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. And all of the articles that we cover on today's show, you can read directly on our website at www.highat9news.com. And thank you to all of you that have subscribed to the channel, because at the beginning of the week, we did surpass 5,100 subscribers on our way to 10,000. And so we appreciate that big jump in just a week. So thank you all very, very, very much. Oh, and we are back. Rico, you with us, buddy? You hanging in there?
Here.
You hanging tough?
I'm here, man. I'm in between dimensions looking for drones and shit.
Oh, boy.
But y'all know who it is up next. It's cannabis industry's favorite foul mouth from the South. Everybody knows that any breath kills, but y'all better look out for Jenny Beth Dills. She's the founder of Kind Cannabis Consulting and Justice Serve 501c3. And here to break us off with a little Wednesday heat, none other than JBD. Jenny Beth Dills, what you got for us? What you got for us today?
Well, I was going to do this one yesterday, but I wanted to wait for today for Omar because I think we're going to it's particularly not because in a dramatic and unfortunate turn of events, the Fort McDermott, Paiute, and Shoshone Nations foray into the legal cannabis business has ended in disaster. Convinced by outsiders, the tribe embarked on a venture that promised prosperity, but instead led to turmoil and significant loss. It all came to a head on a September night in 2020 when the Red Mountain Travel Plaza, the tribe's only gas station and grocery store, was engulfed in flames. This devastating fire not only robbed the community of essential services, but also destroyed nearly $19,000 in cash, funds that were vital profits from the tribe's cannabis operations. Allegations of arson swirl, but with no charges filed, the community is left grappling with unanswered questions and a deep sense of unease. Tribal elder Jerry Tom voiced the sentiment of many. We need to recover what we lost here. Nothing good has come of the cannabis business. The venture initially seemed as a beacon of hope, but has become emblematic of a broken promise and mishandled opportunities. The Fort McDermott tribe, residing in a remote area straddling Nevada and Oregon, saw the cannabis industry as a potential economic lifeline. With public attitudes shifting and state laws relaxing, the booming legal weed market, estimated $35 billion nationally, seemed like a promising avenue for growth. However, the tribe faced unique challenges. The lack of federal oversight and the need for external expertise made them vulnerable to exploitation. Enter Kevin Klock and his associates. In 2015, Klock, along with Eli Paris and Darian Stanford, approached the tribe with grand promises. They assured the community that the cannabis farm would be entirely tribe-owned and would generate much-needed revenue for infrastructure, education, and jobs. Yet the deal struck with Klock's team granted them an unusually large share of the profits, raising eyebrows and concerns among some tribal members. Arlo Crutcher, a local rancher and former tribal council chair, was wary from the start. They came in and painted a pretty picture and promised the tribe this and that, said Crutcher, who felt the tribe was too trusting and lacked the business acumen to navigate such a complex industry. Despite these concerns, the tribe entered into a 10-year partnership, heavily influenced by then Tribal Council Chair Tilden Smart. The arrangement promised to repay Klock's investments before benefiting the tribe, a deal structure that left many questioning its fairness. The operation was fraught with issues from the outset. A cannabis commission was established to oversee the venture, but its lack of independence and accountability raised red flags. With members of the tribal council also serving on the commission, there was little separation between oversight and operations, an arrangement criticized by industry experts. There was no system of checks and balances. The blurred lines between governance and business operations left the community exposed to mismanagement and ultimately failure. For the Fort McDermott, Paiute, and Shoshone Nation, the experience is a cautionary tale of the complexities and risks inherent in the cannabis industry, particularly for Indigenous communities. It underscores the need for robust oversight and clear accountability to protect against exploitation and ensure that such ventures truly benefit those they are intended to serve. As the community continues to seek answers and recover from the setback, the lessons learned here resonate, not just locally, but across many Indigenous nations exploring similar opportunities in the legal cannabis market. We'll definitely keep following this one. This is sad. I mean, the same thing that happens in social equity, the same people, the same type and caliber of people who are willing to come rip off social equity applicants are doing it in drones to these Indigenous tribes. And they're doing it because there is this tribal immunity that makes it easier for them to come in and do whatever they want to do. And so I really want to definitely get Omar's opinion on this. This is pretty disgusting. And there was a portion of the article. It's a very, very, very long article. So obviously I didn't read all of it. And you guys are welcome to go do so yourselves. But there is an idea that maybe that fire obviously was arson and that the safe with the money was stolen before the fire began. So just throwing that out there. This is a really sad story. And I think this is just another example of white people coming in and taking from the Indigenous people what should be theirs, which is frustrating.
This smells like several of the social equity situations I found myself in or my clients in, where money was put up and then had to all be paid back in spades before social equity people got diddly squat. It smells a lot like that because they're looking to gain from this. They're sold the bill of goods that this is going to make you all these billions of dollars. And then it turns out that you're in bed with nefarious characters and they rip you off.
It's just another toilet to shit in, right?
Yeah. Omar, you're muted.
Yeah, Omar, you're on mute.
My take on all this is it doesn't have to be this way unless the tribe waived its sovereign immunity, right? Like it can enter into contracts with all these outside losers and it can break the contract with outside losers. And they have sovereign immunity. That's why oftentimes people insist on waivers of sovereign immunity. So unless they gave up their sovereign immunity, they're not stuck with these people. They can get rid of them. They can take over their own operations, replace, the deal structure, and they can invoke sovereign immunity if they try to sue them in state court or try to sue them in federal court. So actually the tribe has all the cards in this situation, but it pisses me off whenever outsiders come in and try to exploit oppressed tribal nations and members and take advantage of them and try to make it seem like it's so complicated that they need their expertise. Bunch of bullshit. It's not that complicated. And what's interesting about this is that the sovereign nations, Native American nations, some of them have been quite successful at the cannabis business, especially in Southern California, where they basically allow, people are allowed to visit their sovereign lands. They go to the dispensary on sovereign territory. They purchase there. And then what they do after that, it's not the tribe's concern. They can go home with their cannabis. It's legal to transport personal use quantities throughout California. And so I think that's something that the tribes have successfully navigated. But if they have, predatory outsiders trying to take all the profits, same happened with the casino tribes. There's casino companies that were trying to siphon off all of the profits so that the members of the tribes were getting minimal benefits while the casino moguls were, what's the word? Wallowing in luxury.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and here's a part of the frustrating situation, because I was working on a license for, a group on tribal lands, and I ended up not working for them anymore because this was probably one of the most disrespectful, absolutely threatening, just awful clients that I've ever had. And that part of the licensing process in some of these situations is a waiver of sovereignty, of tribal immunity, which is frustrating because then that puts you, essentially, you're standing there with your pants down. I understand that, there needs to be something that keeps people from coming in and spending all this money and then just getting told to take a hike and getting screwed over in that sense. But I think, waiver of sovereign tribal immunity is not the way to go about that.
Without this conversation, devolving into a bunch of racial bullshit, chaos and everything.
Well, that's why I rewrote it, because the title was "White People, Where's the Money?"
I know, and I don't have the energy for that either. But I'm like, why the fuck can't white people just let
you froze, Rico,
and make money?
You froze for a second.
Just y'all been getting money. Keep on getting money the way y'all getting money. Let us get money too.
Well.
It's exploitation, and it's everywhere. And you really have to be careful. Do your due diligence before you get in bed with some of these characters. Because even when you do some due diligence, they still sneak shit in on you that they're interested in getting all of theirs and giving you as little as they have to. It's like an insurance company. We want all of ours, and we'll give you as little as we have to.
Fair enough. And on that, we're going to roll into our final commercial. We are going to be right back. Are you all ready for America's new #1 D9 gummy line? That's right. We are bringing to you Parody Gummy. These vegan gummies are manufactured in a safe harbor facility, so they're going to be clean and safe, and they're not going to give you any of the runaround. Coming in, we have 3 amazing flavors for you. We have the Raspberry Riots. Also, we have the Sleepy Joes if you need something to help you sleep at night. And if you're feeling like raging and having a party time, that's right, we have the Pineapple Bad Hombre. If you're feeling like a bad hombre, make sure you head over to www.parodygummy.com and secure your bag today. And we are back, you guys.
Right.
You want to introduce Omar, Rico?
Yes, up next, it's the bi-coastal man with the plan. He's a legendary cannabis legalization, pre-legalization, and post-legalization law doctor at large. He's helped numerous people get out of their bids, and he's helped many other people with bright ideas for the future. Here to represent with a brown belt of high-style Brazilian jiu-jitsu. He's the man. He looks very, very nice every single time he's on the show with a suit and some glasses, but he's still ready to whip y'all's asses. Y'all know who it is. Omar Figueroa. Yeah.
Thank you, Rico. My story is from the North Coast Business Journal by Susan Wood. The headline is, "A Harvest for the Ages. North Coast cannabis growers report bountiful crop." With Glentucky Farms grower Mike Bensinger calling it a harvest for the ages, North Bay cannabis industry stakeholders rejoiced over a hot summer and fall that spurred rapid plant growth this year. "It was incredible. The bud development was like nothing I've ever seen before," said the Glen Ellen farmer known for his blue ribbon La Bomba strain. "It's the best season I could have remembered, starting out good and getting better," Bensinger said of a season that typically ends in November. "June and July were considered good, and August was deemed amazing. For 5 to 7 days, we had buds triple in size," Bensinger said, adding even October's hot days required using shade cloth. "It's the first time I've ever covered my cannabis plants." Bensinger discussed the bounty at a panel discussion hosted on December 12th by Soulful CEO Eli Melrod at his new retail outlet in Healdsburg. The discussion was also part of a podcast hosted by Seattle-based cannabis website Leafly's editor and producer David Downs, who referred to the harvest time as the peak of perfection. The panel chatted about the robust growing season, supply and demand, pricing, local government, and the growers' favorite strains. A strain is a variation of cannabis that differs in appearance, aroma, and effect. Alpenglow Farms owners Craig and Melanie Johnson touted Blue Dream as part of the culture in southern Humboldt County, situated in the heart of the Emerald Triangle. Mendocino County's Mark Greenshock of Greenshock Farms and Sandra Handanian, who owns Moongazer Farms, also weighed in. When asked how growers and retailers balance planting the old favorites versus something new, most agreed the farmers will often work off a base that succeeded in the past. There are a lot of wizards out there. You just got to adapt. You do something you love, but you also want to try something new. I say, do a row, Kandanian said. All agreed the season provided strains of exceptional quality. Growers are like chemists. They learn how to produce excellence as they go. To ensure that at a retail level, Melrod referred to the process as curating the inventory. He was a little less enthusiastic about the government's take. Taxes are still really high, he said, adding an average of 30% on a purchase imposed by local and state government. That part of the conversation morphed into, what can local government do? From grower to retailer, the pressures have mounted in the last 4 years among legal cannabis providers through the supply chain as they compete with an illicit market that undercuts their prices and pays no taxes. Bensinger called the challenges a roll of the dice, affecting whether businesses will return each year. The celebration of this year's growing season has a downside since it results in a supply glut. When this happens, wholesale prices drop. For a California industry measuring $5.1 billion in sales last year, the wholesale price per pound for indoor premium large bud gross year over year has dropped by over 23% to $942, according to the Cannabis Business Times. But for outdoor, it has increased in the last year by over 50%, climbing to $462 per pound. The volume and value of cannabis grown is listed in county crops reports. For Sonoma County, outdoor gross amounting to 5,583 pounds accounted for $15.3 million over 12 acres harvested. Indoor cultivation sites bringing in 15,000 pounds represented almost $10 million. From Garberville to Healdsburg to Sonoma Valley to the Petaluma Gap, growers and other enthusiasts remain optimistic. Joyce Sonali of Sonoma Hills Farms outside Petaluma said the volume of cured flower has grown by 12% this year, although she declined to provide exact numbers. The flower tested well, and the team on the farm processed 28 different genetics with the famed cherry cheesecake strain. We're super happy, she said. Eric Pearson, who runs Spark Dispensary in Sonoma and cultivates cannabis, provided a similar reaction as a nod to the Northern California climate. The key is cannabis outdoor, he said. Pearson has brought back a new twist to the customer favorite glitter bomb. It's got good nose appeal, he said. Pearson just wrapped up harvesting his 2 acres. It's been a great season. The weather has held up well, he said. The headline is, A Harvest for the Ages. North Coast cannabis growers report bountiful crop. And my take, the good news is this year's solar-powered cannabis is superlative, and the abundance means prices are low for consumers. The bad news is that low prices are not good for growers who are struggling to get by. So please support these craft cultivators who take the time, talent, and energy to grow some of the world's best, most pure, most uplifting cannabis. This is Omar Figueroa, lawyer, publisher, and Ganjier instructor, reporting from Sonoma County, California, the traditional territory of the Pomo, Miwok, and Wapo nations, for High at 9, high noon Eastern.
Man, Omar, you know, this crop report is very interesting, because one of the things that you stated is that it's a bountiful harvest, but you know, the price compression isn't going to really reflect that. And you mentioned that it's low price cannabis, but it's heavily taxed, and so the prices really aren't that low to the end consumer. They're still paying in between $30 to $40 an eighth, even though these pounds are going for, you know what I'm saying, no more than $600.
Yep. Absolutely.
So there's a major disconnect in the economics in this, Omar.
Imagine if you could go to a farmer's market and buy straight from the farmers. That might change things.
I mean, that's not going to change anything. That's not going to change anything, because you still have all these crazy taxes that are put in place. You know, what we need to get back to is a deli style market where people can actually sell their product loose and all of that. That's what needs to happen, and get rid of all these excise taxes, because the excise tax, doesn't it go up at the beginning of the year?
Oh yeah, it's going to go up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, these people are going to get screwed.
Taxes are out of control. It's going to drive more people to the unregulated illicit market.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the trap is stronger than ever in California. There's all these show raids that are conducted by the Department of Cannabis Control and associated agencies, but they never really follow the money.
Mm-hmm.
If they were to follow the money, they might put a dent in the trap. But since they're not following the money, they're barely arresting the people involved, never mind the people who set it all up.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's just such a joke of a whack-a-mole enforcement mechanism. There is no disincentive to stay away from the trap, especially since the feds are doing nothing about it. If we had a system where the feds were enforcing federal law on unregulated cannabis to the fullest extent of federal law, that would change the economics. And it would make it so that the trap is no longer what it is right now, zero risk.
Yeah. Fair enough. And
well, state law made cannabis a misdemeanor soaking wet. And that's part of the problem. I'm not advocating that we reignite felonies for that, but we've got a regulatory structure and a tax structure in California that's upside down and backwards. You add 280E on that, and it's a very steep climb to make any money in this industry right now. And these small farmers are barely hanging on. We need to wipe the slate clean here in California, start over again. But that's going to be a pitched political battle, because we got to take away local controls in the first place. Get these assholes who want to stop legal cannabis, they're okay turning their blind eye to the unregulated market. We've got to stop all that, give the average cultivator a level playing field with the illicit market. But that's a battle that I'm not sure who's going to. I mean, there's some talk right now of fighting this at the legislature, but it's going to be a battle.
So I got a quick question before, because I got to go hop to the doctor in a second. But I had a quick question. Obviously, I'm lighting a match and walking away here.
He's going to go get his vaccination shot.
Fuck that. No, but I'm like a provocative question on purpose here. But Kamala Harris, Kamala Harris comes back and she runs the state. Will it be any different under her? I'd really like to know. From
you think she would get elected here?
Hold on, from you two gentlemen first, from Omar and from Dale first. Like, if Kamala Harris comes back, would it be any different under her? Like, what are your thoughts?
I don't think so. It's going to take a Herculean effort
at the state level. She can only lose. It's like something that she's not going to prioritize as one of her policy goals. She did run at the last second, tossing out promises of federal legalization to create jobs for black males, and which I thought was insulting and not the best way to frame the issue. But I think I don't think she's going to initiate a revolution in the way cannabis is regulated in California, because you really need somebody who's going to say, that Prop 64 was a nice interim measure, but it clearly was not the final answer, and that we need to have a new solution altogether. Prop 64 imposes, just this, what's the word, antiquated system that's, it was aimed at the Cole memo. It was trying to deal with the 8 federal enforcement priorities. It's totally outdated. Why are we still living under the Cole memo when the feds don't care?
Cole memo's worthless, Omar. It never did anything. It's just a piece of paper.
Exactly.
It's totally useless.
And so why are our laws crafted around the Cole memo?
Because
that's what it took to get that passed. That was the problem. We had the sheriffs and the cities and counties were not going to get on board unless you gave them local control. I mean, that is at the heart of the problem. Legislatures played around with this a little bit, but there's now talk inside the Democratic Party, and Omar, you and I'll be chatting about this soon, about let's go to the legislature. We can amend 64 and take away local control. They're going to scream and they're going to yell, but that's the start of this. And we need to shed 64 of that local control, make it a state. You can still have zoning, but like alcohol, you can't prohibit it in your county. Stop these games, and we're going to have to give them an enforcement tool. Okay, if you're growing on public land, you should now get your ass kicked. Not only are you using pesticides, but allow people to get their ass kicked and follow the money. If people are allowing your property to be used for illegal purposes like this, there should be a very heavy cost to pay for that. If you don't know about it, that's a different story. But once you're on notice that you're using your property for illegal purposes, the owner of that property should be looking at losing his property or having some heavy fines imposed on him. Because after Prop 36, I think the people in the state are ready to go target some criminal enforcement for drug activities again. And I think we can get some traction there. But this is going to be a fight, because they thought that we were just we're going to go and we're going to steal a little money out of the safe. The problem is the safe's now empty. You can't keep picking the pockets of the cannabis industry when they can't even pay their bills. That's just not working anymore.
So what I'm gathering is you guys are more for Jackie McGowan. She should run.
Shut the hell up, talking.
Oh man,
She's still in Florida. She's still in Florida. Let's keep it there.
I'm not for anybody leading anything that makes racist comments, especially to other women in the industry. Sorry.
Well, I'll say
else to do it.
I'll say this. I wonder, you know what? Maybe the industry does need Kamala Harris to be the governor of California, because then you'll have people getting arrested for cannabis again, and then maybe that'll fix the market.
Hey man, no, I think you're looking at Kamala all wrong. I think everybody looked at her all wrong. Like she's everybody's candidate. So all you got to do is be like, yo, like all the cool kids are doing this, and she'd be down for it, bro. Telling you, man.
I bet.
Telling you.
I bet.
See, Donald Trump, the way into Donald Trump's mind and heart is like, yo, how is this going to benefit him? The way into Kamala Harris's heart is like, yo, everybody else is doing this. Let's do it too.
I don't think she would stand a chance, in all honesty, to get elected for governor of California, because then you're going to be able to paint the picture of that the whole state of California is going to look like Oakland.
Who's it going to be? Who's it going to be, man? Like the time is now. Jason Beck 2026. What the heck? Jason Beck. What the heck? Come on.
Cute.
On deck.
Who's actually campaigning? It's Betty Yee. She's been campaigning for like more than a year now. And who else is actually
Fiona Ma, I think would be the best choice for California and the best choice for cannabis. She understands the economics of cannabis and whatnot, and has been a really strong ally through, ever since she was a member of the Board of Supervisors in San Francisco, and she understands the economics of the overtaxation within the cannabis space, and I think she would be a phenomenal choice for California governor. But
she was the first real politician that I smoked a joint with too. So big shout out to Fiona Ma.
Shout out to Fiona Ma. Yeah,
she's cool. She's cool as shit. Cool as shit.
Now's the time, before she becomes governor, to get in her ear and get her up to speed. Give her lots of updates on.
Yeah, no. I'm a big supporter. I'm a big supporter. I'm a big supporter of her.
Y'all some Kamala haters.
Yeah.
It's because we like proper grammar. But nonetheless,
Kofifi.
I'm gonna roll into this to this last story of the day, you guys. And Omar and Dale, this is for you because this is some legal update. So I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this, because the Third Circuit rules that New Jersey marijuana law lacks private right of action to enforce employment protections. You guys, that's right. A federal appellate court has ruled that a New Jersey law regulating adult use marijuana use does not grant job applicants the right to sue employers that rescind job offers after positive pre-employment drug tests for marijuana. The court found that the law does not provide a private right of action to enforce its employment protections. In a 2-1 published decision on December 9th, 2024, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Third Circuit affirmed the dismissal of a job applicant's lawsuit against a retailer. The applicant alleged that the retailer had violated the New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory Enforcement Assistance and Marketplace Modernization Act, better known as CREAMA, C-R-E-A-M-M-A, you guys, a 2021 law that legalized adult use marijuana use for adults aged 21 and over in New Jersey. The court stated in a quote, "In this case, the applicant must demonstrate that CREAMA specifically benefits job applicants like himself who test positive for cannabis use. However, CREAMA does not provide such benefits, you guys." Additionally, the court denied the applicant's request to amend his lawsuit and declined his request to certify a question to the New Jersey Supreme Court regarding state law issues. In 2020, New Jersey voters approved an amendment to the state constitution to legalize adult use marijuana possession and use, and Governor Phil Murphy signed CREAMA into law in February of 2021 to establish a statutory and regulatory framework. The law delegated authority to the New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory Commission, which has since issued regulations and guidance regarding employer drug testing. Specifically, CREAMA set forth specific job protections under the law. Employers are prohibited from taking adverse employment action against any employee in a quote, because that person does or does not smoke, vape, aerolize, or otherwise use cannabis, end quote. Employers are also prohibited from taking adverse employment action against an employee solely due to the presence of cannabinoid metabolites in the employee's body fluid. However, CREAMA does not provide an express right of action for individuals to redress alleged redress alleged violations. In examining the case under diversity jurisdiction, the Third Circuit determined that since CREAMA does not explicitly provide a private right of action, New Jersey courts must decide whether there is an implied private right of action underneath the law. The court stated in quotes, "By protecting both users and non-users of cannabis, this provision sweeps very broadly, as every member of the public is either a cannabis user or a cannabis non-user, and without an unmistakable textual focus on cannabis users specifically, this provision does not confer a special benefit on any particular class." Additionally, the job applicant had identified no legislative history for CREAMA that indicates an intention to provide a private remedy for a prospective employer's failure to hire a job applicant based on a positive drug test for cannabis, according to the Third Circuit. The job applicant argued that CREAMA must offer an implied private right of action because it does not provide any other means to enforce its employment protections. However, the Third Circuit found that employment protections may be enforced by alternative means, noting that CREAMA empowers the Commission to regulate and enforce cannabis-related employment matters, and that the Commission has issued regulations in this regard. And finally, the Third Circuit concluded that implying a private remedy for recession of a job offer based on failed cannabis drug tests does not further CREAMA's stated purpose of preventing the sale and distribution of marijuana to underage individuals and addressing the issues caused by the unregulated manufacture and distribution of illegal marijuana. The court also pointed out that New Jersey does not provide a private cause of action for employment discrimination based on the consumption or non-consumption of alcohol. Third Circuit Judge Ariana Freeman partially dissented, arguing in a separate opinion that the New Jersey's High Court likely would discern an implied cause of action for failure to hire in violation of CREMA, you guys. The Third Circuit also denied the applicant's claim under New Jersey's public policy exemption to at-will employment, finding that the exemption protects only employees, not job applicants, and thus it does not encompass claims for failure to hire in violation of public policy, you guys. In an additional quote, there is no realistic likelihood that the New Jersey Supreme Court would expand the public policy exemption to permit failure to hire claims by prospective employees, the court stated. The ruling comes as a growing number of states have passed laws to amend existing off-duty conduct laws to protect citizens from adverse employment action for legal outside of work marijuana use and use as legalization of the drug is on the rise. And however, the Third Circuit ruling underscores the limitations on job applicants' legal recourse under New Jersey's CREMA, highlighting the absence of a private right of action for individuals negatively impacted by pre-employment drug testing for cannabis, which may influence future interpretations of employment protections in the context of adult use marijuana use. But still, employers may want to note that the ruling comes from a federal court exercising its diversity jurisdiction, and New Jersey courts could interpret the law as creating an implied right of action, you guys. Well. Lots of legal action going on in this today, and I can't wait to hear what you attorneys have to say about this.
Well, you would think that they would have learned when they draft this legislation from other places. California specifically put protections in our laws. And you would also question, why are you in federal court? Why would you go there? Because this is still a federal crime, and you should be in state court trying to work this out. And if you are an employee, now you have enhanced rights. If you're not an employee yet, that's, I think, where the line's being drawn here. They could put in a private attorney general type of situation where they allow attorney's fees if you prevail. That will put an end to this kind of stuff. And I would be curious to see what happens if it gets into a state court. You see, the state court would find that implied right that the federal courts didn't. But, when you draft legislation and you're not looking around the country in a market like this to see where there's problems other places and take steps to address them, you shouldn't be surprised that you have this kinds of ambiguity and you end up just, walking around in circles trying to figure out what to do now.
Basically, the court said that the legislature passed a law with no teeth. And the decision was, are there implied teeth or are there no teeth at all? And two judges said there's no teeth, and one judge said there's implied teeth. So I think there's still hope with the U.S. Supreme Court or with en banc reconsideration that some judges might come to a different conclusion. But I think what we see here is a reluctance on the part of the federal courts to read implied rights that the legislature did not expressly include in the law. And they probably think it's a better role for the state courts to be interpreting the law to include implied rights that are not expressly stated. And so that's really, a failure of legislative drafting on the part of the legislature that can be remedied at the next legislative session. This is not an unfixable problem. It can easily be fixed by the legislature by including an actual express right of action that allows job applicants who are denied based on something that's totally irrelevant, their off-duty use of cannabis and failing a cannabis test, when there's no actual impairment. I think the legislature ought to say what it means by passing a law that provides express protection.
Jenny Beth, I see you researching things over there. You got something you want to say on this?
You see me working because I got a deadline today.
Okay.
And it's metabolites. And I think, the presence of metabolites alone should not preclude someone from anything. Like, it doesn't matter as long as there's not current impairment. If there's current impairment, then I can't argue for you. But metabolites, we keep going over and over and over on this, and hopefully we'll get some clear path forward.
I hope so. I'm with you on that. I am with you on that. And on that, we're going to close this thing out. And thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific and high noon on the East Coast. Big thank yous to our audience and supporters for tuning in daily and listening to the developing cannabis industry. Much love to the Suitor Music out there with that big old super chat today. And a huge thank you to Catalyst for helping us keeping the lights on. Thank you to our correspondents for being absolutely, truly amazing. And thank you for giving us a reason to do all of this Cannabis Sativa L. Thank you to Cloud Media Partners, Adam out there in the metaverse, and thank you all for tuning in and getting high at 9 with us. We are America's #1 daily cannabis news show. Adam, play the Christmas music.
2, 1, 2, 3, 4.